Well, it's my privilege today to introduce to you the candidate for the Dean of the College of Engineering, Dr. Neil Gallagher. Dr. Gallagher received his bachelor's degrees in physics from Loyola College in Baltimore and got an MS and PhD in electrical engineering from Princeton University. He then started his career at Case Western University and became a full professor at Purdue, where he served for 18 years. From Purdue, he moved on to chair the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Delaware, where he stayed for a number of years. He then became the dean at the Colorado State University. I almost said Colorado School of Mines because our former dean went there. Anyways. So he was the dean at the Colorado State University and served in that position for a number of years. When he was recruited to become dean at the University of Central Florida, where he spent most of his career in the last, how long have you been there? Five years. Dr. Gallagher then retired from the university to form a startup company, Savant God Software, and he's focusing his effort onto that enterprise right now. So please help me welcome Dr. Gallagher.
Okay, now let me invite you to move down here. No, come on.
He just doesn't know how old I am.
You're not any older than I am. So, okay, good. Thank you. So, you've heard that I've got some repeats here. I guess I asked for some questions I could offer to tell a story. And then maybe that could be the same question. True story. Anybody have any questions about what is it that what role do you play in the college? What do you do in the college?
Myself, I'm the secretary.
Okay, and what? I mean, that's such a broad term. I mean, people do many different things and will call themselves a secretary. So, what kinds of things do you do? Oh, okay. What don't you do? Huh?
I do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
From attending meetings, I coordinate travel, I supervise individuals, student employees, regular employees.
Okay, now, in the course of your day-to-day activities, I know this happens because it happens to everybody. In the course of your day-to-day activities, as you're doing something, and you think, oh, I wish they'd change that. What are 2 or 3 things that fall into that category? Now, you said you do travel. You think travel is as efficient and smooth as it could possibly be? No. And so you do travel means that could mean that you help make reservations for people. Mostly for myself anymore, I do my own reservations. It's just too easy to get on. I mean, I even have a way I like to do it. What I do is I get on Travelocity and I see what all the flights are. I find the flights that I like, and then I sign in to the airline website, because you can get seats that aren't available at Travelocity on the airline website. Fares are sometimes cheaper on the airline website, and it's only if you make the reservations on the airline website where you have the ability to go in and get your boarding pass the day before. So I totally abuse and take advantage of Travelocity to find all the flights, and then they go to the airline, and I do my own reservations. It's just easier and faster for me to do that. And then you may handle getting people's reimbursements after the trip. So there has got to be something that's really irritating about the way the university does reimbursements, because every university has something irritating about how they do reimbursements. So what are some of the things, like, what are some of those things?
Something's changing.
Always changing the format, right? Okay.
I think almost everything about the university's reimbursement process is irritating, but that might be just me.
Okay. Yeah, the only university that I thought did it well, all the places I've been over 35 years, was the University of Delaware. And because I don't know what happened to the president one time. One day he decreed that everyone was going to get their reimbursement check 3 days after they submitted their paperwork. And it happened. I mean, so, and I think basically the way they did it was that basically the assumption was that everything you turned in was correct, and then as they checked it later down the line, if they found an anomaly, then they might ask you to reimburse it or whatever. But the upfront initial assumption was the expenses that you turned in were correct. And I think that was what they did. It was the only way they could do it and make it work. But I thought, I couldn't think of a reason why it should take longer than 3 days. So, and he decreed that it was going to be 3 days. So he must have had a really bad experience somewhere that did that, yeah.
Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Bobby Derlin, and I'm not actually in engineering college. I'm an associate dean over in College of Extended Learning.
Oh, wow, really?
We do all kinds of things.
Okay.
But I will mention one really nice thing about our university and travel is we are allowed to obtain credit cards that have been negotiated by the institution on our behalf. You have a 60-day repay period.
Yes.
So there's plenty of time.
Okay.
I mean,
Right.
everybody hates filling out forms.
Right,
but
right.
There's plenty of time for that reimbursement process
Yeah.
too. If you mind your P's and Q's and get your travel reimbursement started on time, you have your money before you are personally required to shell out. And if you don't mind, I know you were here in the earlier session. I have a number of questions, but one of the things I'd like to ask you about first is, I know you're now affiliated with a private firm, and I'd be interested in having you tell us a little bit about what guard software is.
So Savant Guard software.
Yes.
Okay. There's an idea that I have had for almost 20 years. And it's related to my research areas that I got involved with as a professor, as a private. And 20 years ago, when I first thought up the idea, the ability, the power of the computers at the time just wasn't there where we could implement and run this software in a small amount of time. It would take, it would be an overnight or a day type of runtime to make this work. And the software, what it does is it does a very effective job at removing noise that materializes in digital still images and digital video images. Whenever you take a photograph with a camera and the light's not good, and a lot of the image is dark or underexposed, you begin to run into very significant issues with noise in the image. I could show you some examples here, but I don't have anything set up to do that. But it's there, and probably for your casual photographer, it's not a big deal. But I I'd say certainly for anything from a serious amateur photographer on up, it's an issue. And in fact, there are a number of companies out there now that sell noise removal software, including companies like Kodak, which have packages out there. But anyway, there's this idea that I've had, and it uses something that evolved out of my research, and there are techniques that are not commonly, the mathematics behind the techniques are not commonly taught in universities except in specialized courses. So the fact is that most people out there who are either designing software for digital cameras or doing software for companies like Adobe just don't understand how to do this. But we needed more powerful computation to make it happen. And so every few years, I would think about this technology and think about, well, is it time to try to do something because I always thought there would be a potential market for selling the software and maybe making some money. And it just never seemed like the right time. And when the computers got powerful enough to do it, I mean, it still never seemed to be the right time. I was usually either in the middle of doing something, or maybe I was going from an old job to a new job, didn't make it the right time. So it's like sort of like trying to decide about taking a sabbatical. I mean, I took one sabbatical in the mid-'80s, and it was never the right time to take another sabbatical after that. When I turned 59, there's, as you see, the 60 barrier approaching. I ask myself questions. Am I doing what I want to do? So what do I want to do for the next 10 years of my life? Have I accomplished the things that I've wanted to accomplish? And what have I wanted to do that's missing? And I forget who said that on your deathbed you don't regret the things you've done, you regret the things you haven't done, right? And there was sort of a coincidence of things that was happening here at this time. This was also about the same time that my wife never liked living in Orlando. In fact, she's been bugging me to move out of Florida ever since the day we crossed the border and moved in. And then, but she didn't like Orlando, but I kept telling myself, this is not a bad place, and she just needs to get used to it. So I recommended that we hire a professional decorator and decorate her house and do everything that could possibly make the place more pleasant for her, and she still wanted to do it. But what really clinched it for us is my youngest daughter, who's now 9. A couple of years ago, she started having some very serious asthma problems. And every January in Florida, whatever it was that was throwing out pollen in January in Florida, she would get some very serious asthma attacks. I have to put her on a nebulizer in the morning and in the evening, where the medicine gets analyzed and she inhales it to get it deep into her lungs to deal with the asthma issue. And I agreed that we needed to move my daughter out of that environment, which meant moving north out of Florida. So it was a coincidence of events then, and then I said, okay, in order to maximize my ability to move, I needed to stop being dean. I used this as an opportunity because I had money banked. I could go for a long time, and I didn't have to pull money out of retirement or whatever. I had a company earlier in the 80s actually. So I said, I'll stop being dean. Here's this company, there's this technology that I wanted to employ. So what I did was, so after I made that decision, it was in September now, a year and a half ago, I walked into the senior project class for electrical engineering and computer science. And the students in the senior project class were looking for projects and looking for people to advise them on the projects and whatever. So I went into the senior senior project class, and I said, here is the idea that I have. And I explained how the nonlinear filtering algorithms work, why it would make a difference, why it would do a better job than what other people were doing. And I said, I'm looking for a group of students who'd be interested in working on the senior project, because what I needed, I did not have the individual skills myself to do everything that was needed in order to make this thing work. I knew the signal processing and I knew the mathematics, but I wasn't as skilled at modern techniques of software development in order to really to make it into a slick professional product. I needed some computer science people to help me with that. So I got 4 outstanding computer science students who started working with me on their senior project. And part of the promise was that if this develops, that we had a good chance, I thought, of making it into a marketable, saleable product. So it worked very, very, very well. So then I saw the path then from going from my idea for 20 years to getting. I can send you to the website. Actually, we have sort of our alpha version or our first software package up there. So that's when I left the. I didn't leave the university instantaneously, but I stepped down as being dean, and I stayed at the university another semester to finish working with the students on their senior project. Then at the end of that semester, I right at the end, like graduation day or whatever, then I stepped down, and I've been full time with the company ever since. So that's been over a year now, I think. And so I'm working with these 4 computer science students, and we're working on getting the software back and selling it over the internet. We're on the alpha version of the testing right now. So I've taught the students what I know, or the former students, who are not students anymore. And so that's what the company's about. So I know that's a longer answer.
And this also allowed you to relocate.
Well, what it does is it sort of all of my ties, the timing to Orlando are now gone. I could pick up and move tomorrow. I don't have to worry about finding somebody to take my place. Because first of all, I don't no longer need to be involved in the day-to-day operations of the company, but they might still need me, a couple hours every month. I mean, we still get on Skype and we chat for a couple hours every Sunday afternoon, for example, is what we would need to do. And I am now a free bird. I can pick up and leave and move tomorrow.
And the students who participated in the planning for the firm have continued with the firm?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah,
cool.
that's right.
Thank you. Is it okay if I go again? I also want to ask a question about decision-making in general within this college. And I'm interested in knowing what your approach would be to decision-making for the college. I mean, how would you see that working if you were
It
to be?
depends on the decision.
Uh-huh.
Certain the routine decisions, as a friend of mine, another dean once said that 90% of what the dean does can be handled by a good administrative assistant. Anyone disagree with that? Okay, so I'm glad we got that on the way. The other decisions, it depends on the nature of the decision. Issues that are curriculum-based, I think, not only, they should be made by the faculty. That is the role of the faculty of the university, to define a curriculum, requirements, standards, anything based with the courses, sequence of courses, and so on. And that the role of a dean might be to perhaps guide things in one direction or another, but it's always the faculty that need to be making the curriculum decisions. I don't know of any faculty anywhere that would tolerate it in any other way. So those actually, I would say most curriculum issues, that Dean has very little to do with, except for what I might do is come forward and make a suggestion. I actually have several suggestions in mind that deal exactly with what you do in terms of distance delivery of courses and so on. The most difficult decisions are personnel decisions. And personnel decisions are not best handled by committees and large groups. There may only be a very small number of people who need to be involved in any personnel decision. It could be a dean and a department chair and the person who's involved. Could be a dean and an associate dean. But it's a very, very small group of people. And personnel decisions that they are decided through consultations with the people who are intimately involved with the issue. And that those can often be the most difficult decisions. I tell people that's why the dean has paid more money than other people for those decisions. Then there are issues of strategic direction, strategic priority, and those are decisions handled by, I think, best handled by larger groups of people. If only because when you decide what your strategies and plans should be, you generally need somebody to implement them. And the person who implements them is probably best one of the people who helped define the strategy or the plan. And so, and without, generally speaking, without having faculty input on changes in strategic directions or how to implement a particular strategic priority, it's not going to happen. Because deans and department chairs and associate deans that just can't do it all. You have to have your faculty advocates and working on this. So those are handled, if not by the faculty at large, certainly they're best handled by larger groups of people. If you're having a program that spans two departments, maybe you have a joint committee of faculty members from two departments working on it. So it depends on the decision, how it should be done. I generally believe that when you hire somebody to do a job, that you need to let them do the job. You hire good people to do the job and let them do their work. Otherwise, you're not taking advantage of the skills and assets that they bring. If you are constantly in a position where you're looking over somebody's shoulder and redoing their decisions, then you don't really need them, do you? So you want to hire the best people you can in various positions, and you want to let them do their job. So I hope that answers your question.
That does. That's really helpful. And let me take this to sort of cite this question in a more specific decision. I think we all pretty well know here at NMSU that as a consequence of our legislative session that's going on right now in Santa Fe, we will all face in one way or another some real serious resource constraints, and that there will probably be directives that will come to us in terms of contracting our budgets and making cuts. What would your approach be specifically to working in that environment?
As these fellows know, I've been at two universities where we have had profound budget cuts. Budget cuts in the order of 25% or more over a very short period of time. And at each institution, the budget cuts were handled differently because how the institution had invested its resources were different in each case. It's a combination. Budget cuts are handled in a combination of two ways. One is if you're looking for an overriding rule that amazingly enough, in the face of the large budget cuts, as I've never had to let anybody go. Doesn't mean that everybody got a raise. And in fact, there are instances where there were small raises given out, and I'll try to make myself look good if I can here. I actually didn't take a raise so I could distribute it. I usually took the raise that I would have gotten, and I give it to one person who I think is particularly deserving for some reason. So, and I get a lot of grief from my wife for doing that. But I've even gone so far as to do that, because ultimately, the dean is only as good as the people who are really doing the work. And if the people really doing the work are in some way satisfied, then everything just deteriorates. So I've avoided actually ever having to let anyone go, but I can never promise that will never happen. I mean, sometimes we have had to get extremely creative in order to do that. And probably the best example is just recently, back at the University of Central Florida, we took our whole engineering technology department and we turned it over to what used to be a community college and has just recently become a four-year state college. It used to be Daytona Community College, became Daytona State College. They had no four-year programs, but they could offer a four-year program. They had the money set aside. So we moved engineering technology, where all of their students came in out of the community colleges anyway for 2 years in the community college of engineering technology. So it was a natural thing. We could turn their 2-year program into a 4-year program, moved all the faculty, the staff, everything, labs, everything moved over. That freed up the money for us that we put into the other remaining departments in the college to reduce the budget cut. Because I'm thinking, okay, we can totally eliminate one program, or we can cripple everything to the point that they will never recover. And crippling everything to the point where they would never recover, I did not view that as my job as dean. So I wanted to do the best I could to save core programs, and basically I did an industry, what you might call selling off a division. So I sold off a division. And otherwise, we would have had to close the department, fire all the tenured faculty, and reduce and eliminate the staff. So those were the two alternatives.
Well, you also indicated by virtue of your own entrepreneurial spirit and wanting to realize that within your firm, what kinds of ideas might you have to pursue to garner other resources?
Okay.
I mean, the cuts will be just in our state.
I want to see how much time we
What
have.
about garnering the other resources?
I have lots of ideas, and I will try to I want to go through them quickly because I can spend a long time because I've thought about them a lot. I can actually go into detail on them, perhaps not as much detail as you would like, but okay, I'm thinking about two things in particular at this moment, and I will add the caveat that whatever it is that we would choose to do as a college or in collaboration with the rest of the university, again, without getting faculty advocates and champions, it's not going to happen. And some of these ideas are pretty unusual. I'll mention the first thing that has direct relation to what you do in your program. And that is, I think that we are losing components of what we do as an educational institution to other institutions. We are losing many students to the for-profit universities, the University of Phoenixes of the world, and there are many for-profits out there if you have a look. And a typical thing is a for-profit will go out and hire a famous retired business executive. They will use that person as the face of their newly minted online business school, and then they will charge a very high tuition to attend the business school because they're using this person. He's like Michael Jordan advertising Nike's for him in the business school. But the for-profit institutions they are somehow managing to get through this difficult time. They're making money being universities and offering an educational product. And they're doing it mostly online. And the for-profits are going big time online with their programs. I think online is the way to go. In fact, I think that every course in every college should be taught online. Because I see a couple of things coming together here. When you talk about seeing a coincidence in events. First of all, my wife is working for her master's degree in industrial engineering. She's taking all of her courses online. So I look over her shoulder. Basically, I see what's going on. And what I see is that it's not only is it more convenient for her to do the videos online because she can look at them at any time, but when she's going through a video lecture and she doesn't understand something, she stops and repeats it 5 times until she does. And if she still doesn't understand it, she gets on the message board for the classroom and says, I've been having problems with this. Does anybody know how to do it? There will be 2, 3, 4, 5 other students in the class before the professor responds. Will get on there and say, oh, this is how I did it, whatever. So what I see is students are more willing to help other students online than they ever were willing to do it in person. And I think this is a result of the cultural transformation we're having into social networking sites and so on. I think that there's just this whole online community and social spirit that is growing. And I think that distance education benefits directly from that. The other thing I see that I think pushes toward online, I look at my 2 young children, they're elementary school age children. Do you think today's college students are into social networking and use their telephones and their computers? You ain't seen nothing yet. My 9-year-old daughter gets on 2 social networking sites. There's Disney, Toontown, and Club Penguin. And so she comes home from school and she does her homework, and then she gets on the computer and she'll be on the computer for an hour or 2 hours. And she has friends in Massachusetts, Colorado. She's got one friend in Great Britain, and she talks to these other young girls on the telephone. They're real friends, and she interacts with them in the Toontown environment and the Club Penguin environment. So for her, these friends are as real as the girl who lives 2 blocks down the street. In fact, maybe even more real because they seek each other out with common interest, and so it's in some ways these friends are more real to her than the friends in the neighborhood. So I see that happening. Then, if that didn't blow me away enough, my son is, he's 11 years old, so he's in Xbox Live. You've never heard about it. Again, you buy the Xbox game, and he likes the war games. So you buy the Xbox games, but you can get online with Xbox Live, which is a server run by Microsoft. Xbox Live allows people all over the world to form teams to play these games. They have a headset. They can talk and hear one another. They can communicate with one another over the headset. They also have the additional communication through the game. So he gets together with his cousin who lives in Ohio. He's got other friends. He talks about his friends. He's got a friend in New York and a friend in California. And they form teams, and they go on and they play these games against other teams that people form. So there's this whole teaming environment, which we keep saying, well, we need to get our engineers working in teams. These kids are doing it on their own. So I see that there is this very, very profound change happening in the way people interact with one another. It's happening at the speed of light. And as these kids, 10 years when they're hitting university, they're going to be expecting an experience that I don't think we're going to be able to deliver unless we really get on it right now. So, online education. Now, going back to raising money with this. And one thought that I've had, and I don't know if it would work because I don't know anyone who's ever tried it, is that I said we should get all of our courses online because I think it's a better higher quality educational experience for the students, and we'll continue to move in that direction. Now, I think we should have every lecture of every course online for free. And where we make our money is, again, you get on these sites, you get on Xbox Live, you have sort of you have a bronze membership and a silver membership and a gold membership. And the memberships bring different level of, you can access more things if you pay more money to go to a higher level membership. Well, let's look at the basic level of membership. Is there a way that we can offer an education to students at a price that would be less than they would pay for a community college education? And I think so. And the model that I have conceived as my starting point is we put all courses online for free. Nobody has to pay a penny to look at any online material. And if they join the bronze membership, the cheapest one, but they don't have access to a professor, they don't have access to teaching assistants, but they do have access to the online discussion boards. So if they have a problem, they post a problem on the online discussion boards for the other students to kick in. And as I've said, I think they will get most of the questions answered. But where does the university make its money? The university makes its money because we're not charging for access to the course material. We're charging to give them a test and give them a grade. So we give them their 3-credit A, 3-credit B, or whatever, because they say, I am ready to take the test. They pay $500, and then they either come here or they go to some other location where we can verify who they say they are and not Albert Einstein. Okay, and they take the test that is provided, again online, and as you probably know, you can do some very sophisticated testing online. I think the important thing is to verify the person's identity. And they pay a fixed fee, $500, their test is electronically graded, and as soon as they hit the submit button, the grade pops up, and says you got these problems right, you got these problems wrong. And they now have their 3 credits in their grade. So requires no additional faculty time, no additional teaching assistant time, and it's $500, that goes to help to support the system, and then whatever's left over goes into the coffers of the institution, or it helps the professor who taught the course, or however you want to spend it. But it's a minimum level of education that would be benefit bright students who otherwise could not even afford the community college education. So that's one idea I have. Another idea, which is not in the online education environment, that has to do with universities actually setting up and running universities, running businesses for profit. And I use as my model there medical school hospitals. The universities have medical schools. They love the medical schools because medical schools usually have hospitals associated with them. And the hospitals make a lot of money. And the universities that use that money as broader support for the institution. New Mexico State doesn't have a medical school, but I think that there are ways in which engineering can play that role. And one particular thing, and I was talking with Beamer this morning at breakfast, and is that we were talking about renewable energy and using the sun to do various things. I mean, New Mexico is one of the top locations in the country, if not the top location, as far as using the sun as an energy source. Whether you're trying to grow algae using the algae to make oil, whether you're doing solar thermal energy, but using the sun. And that if the university actually built and operated renewable energy facilities for the purpose of making money for the university, but simultaneously allowing them to serve as research labs. And that solar thermal, for instance, is where you just focus the sunlight and heat up something to generate steam and produce electricity. The technologies in solar thermal are within the grasp of an undergraduate engineering student. So they can immediately get involved in working on projects, but there are enough interesting research questions to be addressed where you can keep the faculty and graduate students engaged in doing meaningful research. So you would have a facility that would fulfill the role of a research hospital and a school of medicine at the university, where serves the public and makes money, but it's also serves as the venue for working on all sorts of interesting research problems around medicine. So here I'm saying build a production energy facility, produce a gigawatt of power that would serve as a money-making tool for the university. At the same time, that could provide educational and research opportunities for the students and faculty of the institution. So I'm not aware of any university, any college of engineering doing something like that. And the model, in my mind, is sort of like the medical school model. Now, the state of Colorado has already started down the path of doing something like that. And I realized this as I was researching my idea, and that they now have a consortium. They have National Renewable Energy Lab, NREL, Colorado School of Mines, University of Colorado in Boulder, Colorado State University have formed a consortium that they call the Renewable Energy Collaboratory, play on collaboration and laboratory, which involves those four institutions. They're establishing it on a large tract of land near the Denver airport. There's lots of open land around the Denver airport if you haven't seen it. And it seems to me that I know they haven't talked about building actually a commercial grade production facility, but it seems to me that they could be on that path in that direction if they wanted to be. So my suggestion is, let's just steal Colorado's idea. Let's do something similar to that with New Mexico State and University of New Mexico. Sandia already has a solar test bed in operation. The director of NREL, by the way, is on the College of Engineering's Industrial Advisory Board, so there's a direct connection to what Colorado is doing to find out what they're doing there. And of course, Los Alamos. So I think we've got the players within reach to start putting something together and making some money with that model. So those are two models they have. They're not going to happen next month, and they're probably not going to happen next year. But I think if we don't start thinking about that now, because the budgets aren't going to be going up, they're going to be continuing to go down. So we need to start putting those plans in place so we can start fixing the problem. And it always seems like it's too late to start to do something now. Well, we need to start to do it now for when things really start getting bad.
It seems that realizing any idea like that for a profit-making enterprise, be it solar or something else, sort of runs on the back, if you will, of the innovations in faculty research within the college. And I think one of the challenges researchers at our institution broadly face is sort of a seesaw we've been on related to centralization of the various processes that support getting research dollars and doing innovative research. And so I'm wondering if you have an opinion about centralizing those sorts of processes versus decentralizing those processes.
It sounds similar to a question I heard last time.
I'm sure other people have asked you this, but I haven't heard your answer.
And my answer is, my observation is, with experience at a number of institutions, that it really depends on the people who are doing it. If you have the right people running a centralized operation, everyone will praise how great this person is and how efficient the operation is. If you have the wrong people doing it, everyone complains about how it just throws roadblocks in the way all the time. So in some sense, whether it works or doesn't work depends on the people who are doing it. And so I think that just because of that, there is no fixed answer to that question. I think some things naturally lend themselves to centralization, like libraries, and some things lend themselves better to distribution of resources. And because sometimes a certain amount of redundancy that you get with distribution is better. So I don't have an answer to your question. I'm not dodging the question. I just say I don't think there is a fixed answer.
I'm just looking to see if someone I knew was here, because I know this is another question of interest. Internally, in terms of our state resources, the money that's generated by our teaching activities, we use an internal allocation system that is based on the student credit hours that are generated in each college. And I'm interested in knowing what your perception of that model is so far and how you feel that might work on behalf of the College of Engineering.
I've been at universities that have done it both ways. University of Central Florida has a credit hour model. And then I've been at other universities where they basically do historical budgeting, where the budget that you get next year is based on the budget that you had last year, with some percentage up or down change based on whatever the percentage is for everybody else. And what I have found is, the way I'll put it is, no matter what model you choose, there end up going to be some disadvantages that are paid. Actually, the model that I like, which also has many disadvantages, and not many universities do this. When I was at Colorado State, I was desperately begging them to do the experiment with the College of Engineering, and they wouldn't do it. They were afraid of me, maybe. But Johns Hopkins does it, and a few other universities do it. Indiana University, Purdue University, and Indianapolis does it this way. They swear by it, and that is what they call each college is treated as its own business unit. That the college gets all the tuition that the students produce, gets all of the research money that's brought in, including overhead. But the college has to pay for heat, electricity, and then has to pay a tax back to the central administration for central facilities such as library or whatever, telephone, let's say. But telephone should be a distributed item too. So the idea is that once you have control of all of those facilities, if you want to make sure that the heat gets turned down at night and buildings have good insulation and all the doors close when they're supposed to close and so on, then you are really motivated because you're in that building and you know it works and it doesn't work. So the people, when they make that transition, they find that all of a sudden they start saving money in ways they had never anticipated. So the operation becomes tremendously more productive. If you control the admission requirements for your incoming students, then as your applications go up and down, you can in real time adapt your admissions threshold so as to keep your student enrollments constant, for example. So all of a sudden, you locally have tremendously more control over everything, and the operation becomes much more efficient. So if I were God and I were defining the rules, I would very seriously look at that. So that's decentralizing to the college because it's just making them more aware of the money that they are spending and how they are spending it. If I know that somebody else is going to pay the heating bill, and it doesn't make any difference whether I turn off the lights or not when I leave this room, I'm going to be more likely to forget to turn off the lights, if you know what I mean. So as everybody becomes more aware of these things, just like you would in your own home. So there's an example of decentralization that works. And as unsurprisingly, not many universities do that. But I think the ones that do it, I think benefit from it.
Thank you very much.